Welcome back to the Charlie Tuna Show.
Hello, this is the Charlie Tuna Show, my Thursday edition. Generally, Dr. Rick Lingman is with us, but he's with the Olympic trials. He'll be back with us next week. But of course, that means for our health-wise, mental health, the invasive, lovely Cura Andersen. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
How you doing?
Invasive
Good.
is threatening. It's very threatening.
Who's the other guest? Who's this guy in the
Invasive
blue
is like
shirt?
cicadas is invasive. I'm just saying.
No.
It's like an invasive species.
No. What's this gentleman's name?
Corey. Corey in the
Corey.
house.
We'll have Corey here.
Cool store Corey.
You can start out your segment. This is your segment. You started out, but I have some questions for you.
No, let's go. Shoot. What
I have some
questions
questions too. 'Cause
All
I
right.
got tripped up.
What about children have been from abusive homes? How does that help mentally if they're young, let's say under 10 years of age? Does that affect them the rest of their life?
No question. I mean, and again, I'm not a therapist or psychologist. I've just been through a ton of therapy and done a ton of research. And mental health is super important to me and truly should be to everybody. But when their little brains are growing, it's so important. When you talk about abuse, there's all different kinds of abuse. Some people think sexual abuse, physical abuse, but there's also emotional abuse, abandonment. So, quite frankly, a lot of us have more quote-unquote abuse than we even know. So as a child, your mom and dad are your foundation, right? Like, we all know this. So when something goes awry with one or the other, your foundation's rocked, no matter what, right? So
Okay.
the little what, you have more?
No, I'm going to take it another step. Go, keep going.
Okay. So there's a wide variety of abuse, as I said. So when their little brains are forming, if their foundation is rocked, unfortunately, they're going to be at a disadvantage long term. So, but especially if there is sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, those leave gaping holes in children's brains.
I read an article recently that it can be as simple as when you're a baby and you reach your arms up to get picked up and your parent doesn't pick you up.
Yes.
That can affect you in the
yeah.
future.
100.
With that attention and affection that you weren't given when you asked for it
Totally.
can affect you.
Anything less than loving from a parent, and I mean, I'm a parent. I have 3 small children. Like, I know I cannot meet my kids' needs all the time. I just can't. Like, I know my kids, yes, they're going, like, I already have my older 2 in therapy, but they're going to long term. Like, I feel like I need to, like, create a savings account for their therapy when they're older, because they're gonna have issues, because I just can't be all things to them. And so they have needs that I can't meet.
Okay, in the black households, when I grew up, we grew up, and Joe knows this, he grew up a little on top of me. In the black households, if you came from a Southern family, your parents would actually whoop your ass.
Yeah, you don't have no problems. You don't pay any bills.
No, they would have to whoop you. They
Yeah.
would, you would get a switch. They would make you go outside and get your own swish. My mother used to even use a dish bag card. She would use anything. If anything,
A wet
made
dish
us mad.
rag, anything.
But I remember when Michael Jackson died, they said that his father used to beat him. Well, that didn't bother us, because I think that's part of the problem in America today. They don't have enough
Discipline.
not abuse, but because nowadays you can't hit a child because you go to jail. It's abuse. So,
Correct. No, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, I don't think that's exclusive necessarily to a black household, although the neighborhood I grew up in was predominantly black, but we experienced that too. But it wasn't just my grandparents. It was anybody in the neighborhood, and that was the thing.
Old school.
It takes a village.
You can get whooped up by anybody's mom at any time.
if your mother left home,
Yeah.
neighbors took care of you.
And then you get a whooping with
But and also, like, if we had a sleepover on a Saturday night, you went to that church, whatever church you were going to, right? So, like, but I've had to pick out my own switches. I have found through 2 generations, basically, because my oldest is 20 years old. My oldest son is 20. My youngest is 9. So it's almost like 2 generations. And I certainly am much different at 40 than I was at 20 when I had my first kid. So
You wouldn't touch your sons, though, would you?
I've spanked my sons,
Right now?
absolutely. And I'll talk about it. I'm not afraid of it.
You use your hand or something else?
My hand.
Okay.
But-
Is that mental nowadays in this day and age?
So that's technically abuse.
2024.
All right, don't call child services. Yeah, but here's the thing: is it's talked about before and after, and it's done. I could probably say that I've spanked my oldest son less than 5 times his entire life, and I've spanked my youngest son probably 7. He's a
Can
little
you
more
look at him and scare him?
That's the thing.
That's what's
You
important.
don't. People that think about spanking, like, oh, we don't spank. I don't spank either. I'm not regularly spanking my children. I've spanked them enough good times to where
Yep.
we can be in public and I can say, do we
Well,
have
how
to
do
go to
you
the
spank
bathroom?
him? How do you spank him? You use your hand or something else?
My hands.
Okay.
But growing up, I had Hot Wheels track. I had
we
belts,
never
I had
had-
a wooden spoon broken on me.
Right,
So
yeah.
I never got a hand used on me. It
Yeah.
was something else.
Yeah.
Before you start,
no.
I got another story.
You used to have the paddle. You ever had the paddle?
Yeah, paddle.
Like they use it for
around.
like they use in fraternities.
Yeah.
I had a
About
cousin that had a
10
paddle.
years-
Can I address that?
Hold on, I'm gonna check because I'm gonna give you all of it.
Just don't do the Adrian Peterson.
About 10, that's what I'm getting ready to talk about.
About what?
About 10 years
Adrian
ago,
Peterson?
there was an NFL player named Adrian
Peterson.
Peterson. He beat his child unmercifully, and
Well,
I think he was
Nah,
in the lead.
well, what happened was his son bullied his sister to get on the game and kicked her off the game. So he made his son take his clothes off and then he whelped him with a belt.
Which is what happened to
Which
me.
put welts on
That
his
used to happen to
penis,
me.
which
So
was the main reason why it was a lawsuit.
they suspended him. The
Yeah.
NFL
He
suspended
beat him pretty bad.
So his mother comes out and says,
Yeah.
she said, that's the way we're raised. She said, that's the way I raised him. He didn't know any better. But it was a big story. And most whites that heard that said, oh, man, that's awful.
He was suspended 4 games.
Yeah, suspended, lost a lot of money, millions of dollars.
Well, it's child abuse.
No
I
matter
know.
what.
No matter what, whether it happened to you guys or it is, it's abuse. And then the worst
But
part
it doesn't
about it
affect
is,
me. But it's
Oh,
just the
really?
way we did. It doesn't affect me.
okay,
I tried it with my daughters one night.
yeah,
My daughters were teenagers, so my ex-wife at the time called me. She said they snuck out of the house and they went up to the Galleria. Go find them. I'm pissed. So I found them, and then for the first time ever, one of my daughters, stood in front of my other daughter to protect her.
Oh, my
You're
gosh.
not gonna hit us, Dad. That's when I caught myself. Wow. I said I can't treat them like that I was treated.
no, you
can't
don't
do
want to
that.
scare your children.
But no, but I couldn't do that. I can't raise my voice to my daughters. They think this. Their mother can, but not me.
Do you only have daughters?
2 daughters.
So I have 2 sons. Not to
Definitely a
justify-
different
not to
dynamic,
justify
right?
Spanking.
Right.
But like I said, I've spanked a few times. But now I'm at the point where, like, I don't know the last time I spanked my oldest one, because I could be like, hey man, do we need to go to the bathroom? He's like, no.
Well, he's
right?
20. Let's hope you're not spanking.
Well,
your
I'm
20-year-old.
sorry, the youngest one. That would look really weird.
Like he might
He's
beat
my size.
you up.
He could beat me up. He's definitely strong.
No, don't say that out loud.
And here's the other.
You're not
part.
supposed to say that out
He
loud.
knows the physical.
No.
Listen, here's the deal, Joe. He's mentally afraid of me.
Yeah,
I
that's
can take
true.
him down with these 2 fingers.
good.
And really,
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Well,
you got good.
yeah.
Maybe that's not good either to be mentally
No,
afraid of you.
you should be
No,
afraid of
you
your
don't want
father.
kids to be
He just means
afraid.
I just mean in the sense that he knows
A respect way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not like he's afraid of me.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
but
he probably
here's-
knows he can beat you up, but he won't
Here's
because
the
it's a
thing.
respect thing.
You don't want your kids
He's
to
gonna
be
fight me when he's a dad. Come home from
Afraid of
college.
you.
wanna fight.
You don't want the kids.
your
to be-
kids to be afraid of you. But a point I want to bring up is, so we're supposed to be the kids' home base, right? Like we're the foundation.
That's true. That's fair.
The whole idea is we as parents raise our children, we let them go, right? They go explore, they make a mistake, or maybe they go and have something great happen to them. We celebrate them, or we're disappointed, and then when they come back to us, they're supposed to be able to come back to us, and we're still there, ready to be there for them. And there's other ways to discipline. So here's my point. Parents
I'm gonna give you a scenario after this.
spanking their children, and then we expect our children to not hit other children.
Right. Oh, I don't hit for
Wait.
hitting.
What do you do to your children when they do something? I mean, terribly bad.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna give her a
Yeah.
scenario.
What do you do?
Let's say Dane is 16 years
Stop
old.
it.
And he steals a woman's purse. And then him and his friends take the cash out of that purse. And they go buy drugs from another guy. And then you catch him upstairs
That's-
doing
Straight
cocaine.
to
You say
rehab.
16?
Doing cocaine.
He's doing
And they stole a purse.
Straight to rehab.
You can't whoop a
But
16-year-old.
how do you get him from rehab to that room? There's no
A
yelling.
I
friend
will
of mine
call
had
the
a
police.
solution. Call the police.
Call the police. And
No
get them
way.
If my kids
I had a friend of
touch
mine
drugs,
did
You calling the police on your kids?
Yeah,
Abso-freaking-lutely.
absolutely.
No way.
Yes, sir.
If I came home and I told my mom I did something wrong, she would be like, "Don't tell me," and she would take care of
former
it.
chief of police.
I-
The former chief
my
of
mom-
If my
police.
kid did what he just said,
The former
for
chief
sure.
of police in St. Louis died a couple months ago. Ron Andersen. Mm-hmm. He caught his brother doing something wrong while he was a cop. Locked him up.
Yeah.
He said, "I'd rather do that
Well, that's the right thing to
to
do.
get in trouble by beating his butt." But you said
There's the right thing
what
to
do you
do, and then
with
there's
your
the
kids
right
when they
thing to do.
something wrong?
I give them a look and I talk sternly.
Does it help, or do you know yet? How old are they?
7, 5, and 3.
They don't know yet, do they?
No. And my scenario is different,
Yeah,
right?
that's
I lost my husband last year to cancer. Their dad died. They literally, their whole life, all they know is their dad sick in the hospital and their mom having to go. Like,
Well, you got
They get a little bit of leash. They get a
correct.
little
So, like, for
leave room.
me,
Yeah.
I'm never going to hit my kids.
You're
I mean,
afraid of that because of what they've been through with your husband.
Well, yeah, but I also wasn't raised.
How were you raised? Tell us how
I
you
was
were
spanked
raised.
maybe once. I remember it very vividly.
Were you
I
a
talked
good
to my
child,
dad
or
about
were
it.
you a little nasty, mean girl?
No, I was a good child, but my parents divorced when I was 3, and so I had to go from household to household. So
What do you mean household to household?
Like I
Stay
spent-
Back and forth
babysitter.
between mom and dad's.
Wednesday and every other weekend I was at my dad's. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and every other weekend I was at my mom's.
So you came from a unique situation.
I came from a dysfunctional, broken home.
So it affected you.
Yeah, big time.
How?
I have had anxiety and bouts of depression my whole life and didn't realize it
You
until
still have anxiety right now?
well, no, now I do some biohacking, which we will talk about later. I have put a lot of things into play in my life, so my anxiety is completely managed. I had a lot going into my husband's diagnosis, and then afterwards, I've done a lot of therapy and a lot of treatment. But
You, nothing personally, you don't go out there much because you stay with your children quite a bit.
Correct.
Is that good or bad
I
For
mean,
them.
for them?
oh, for them, it's great.
It is? What about for you?
It's great.
Mentally, is that good for you not to be just with your kids all the time and
I'm
not
not-
have a life for yourself?
I'm not with them all the time. I have a
Okay.
nanny in the mornings. I get workouts in. I'll have lunch meetings if I want to meet somebody, and I also get a sitter. Like tonight, I have a sitter, and if I go to dinner with a friend or something, I can get a sitter.
Okay.
But I prefer to.
I thought you just sit at home and you
Are you kidding?
You cat
Like an
lady?
old- Like an old
She
maid.
go out more than I do.
Right.
She goes
Thought she was
out
a
more
cat
than I
lady?
do.
I do not. That is not true. You are out every night, eating at all the different restaurants. I know. I see
have
you.
to.
I know. It's all good. I'm not
It's
judging. I'm just
PR.
saying.
That's how I sell advertising.
I'm really happy not. I don't drink, you know. I don't drink, and I also don't like when you go out to eat. So I try
No
to
glass
eat a
of wine?
non-inflammatory. No.
I'm gonna sit back and let you guys talk because you were
Okay.
gonna talk about something
About the
special.
biohacking?
Right. What is that?
I'm curious about it myself, but may I wrap with the spanking? Because there's an adverse to the spanking. My grandfather, I watched him, he was a spanker for sure, right? I was raised by my grandparents, so I was raised from two people who grew up in the 30s. They were born in 1933. And I remember one time I got into a fight at school, and this stands out in my memory more than any times I've been spanked. So I'm being torn into by all the ladies upstairs. My grandmother, my mother, my aunt are all kind of like, "Oh, you're fighting again, blah, blah, this and that." My grandfather calls me downstairs, and I'm sure I'm gonna get my butt whooped. And he's like, "You know what you need?" So I'm walking towards my grandfather, taking my pants down, getting ready to get a spanking. And he goes, "Did you start that fight?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You need a hug." And he gave me a hug.
Yes,
That's
that
what-
is
that's
what
what
he-
happens to
Three
me.
times in my life that I
That-
probably hugged him. And so he said, "Go up to your room until dinner's ready. I'll take care of the women." When I came back out for dinner, nobody said anything about it.
If I came home and my father, or my mother found out I was in a fight and didn't protect myself,
Yeah.
I would get in trouble.
Yeah, you go back
If I
out there
didn't
and fight
back.
again.
I'm
You
sorry.
better go back out
You
there
better
and
go back
win.
out there.
Yeah.
So that's
been
what
there.
kids need. 9 times out of 10, when they're throwing a fit, totally dysregulated. what
Positive
have you,
reinforcement.
They just need a hug.
Yeah.
They don't
And
need.
adults,
They don't need a
adults need
whooping.
hugs too, though. Everybody needs
Everybody
a hug.
needs
Yeah.
Everybody needs a hug.
Totally.
After that statement, though, I might be more on the side of you that when I said earlier that it might not just be a white and black thing.
Yeah, it's a little more black thing. Yeah, yeah.
You,
I don't know
did
that-
you grow up
I don't know
around
that's
with
in high
spanking
school.
whoopings?
Oh,
There's
I saw all my
whooping- spanking.
siblings get whooping, so I knew how to avoid it. To be honest.
My mother was tougher than my father.
Yeah, yeah. Typically, the woman is the disciplinary in the household.
Both of my parents were from the South, and they never had formal
That's
education.
different. That's a different kind of
But
whooping in
he
the
owned-
South.
He owned his own trucking company.
Okay.
They grew up he worked 7 days a week. He always had a thing: don't go to work late. To this day, he would say, "Don't go anywhere late."
Yeah. 15 minutes early is on time.
Yeah, he would
that part.
always, to this day, and he said, "Don't never call in sick. Go to work and let them send you home.
Let them tell you go.
Let them tell you to go home."
Yeah.
So always
And never
he
ask
taught
for a
me that.
raise. You work for the raise.
Work for the raise.
That's how my grandfather, almost verbatim with those things.
Yeah, those things. That's old school. Which
Played
a lot of
out.
Kids don't get that now.
Oh, gosh,
That's part of
it's
the
a
world right now. We don't
Whole
have
different
that.
ballgame.
We don't get that. That's why.
That's why customer service is terrible everywhere.
Terrible.
Look at what about the black on black crime in the inner cities? Now, Joe has
There's no such thing as black
Kira,
on
you
black
wanna
crime.
Talk about the black on black crime.
Listen,
no
I
such
don't
thing as
let
black
him
on black
speak.
crime.
I was pointing at me. I'm like,
Here's views on the black on black crime in inner city.
There's no such thing. You commit crimes around people you live around. We don't say white on white crime. Like, black people don't go out of the black community and commit crimes in white areas.
And actually, statistically speaking, there are more per capita violent crimes committed by black people, but overall, there's more committed by white people.
Exactly.
They don't talk about the stats in the rural areas.
I'm gonna tell you something.
They don't talk about West Virginia and the Appalachians.
I read something the other day. I'm with this group at Starbucks in the morning. They all think they know what's happening. And black on black crime and murders are worse. You know what's worse
They're
than
Italian.
murder?
They're mobsters.
they're all white, by the way.
Yeah,
Right.
but you know what? But you know what kills more people than murders? Suicide.
Yeah.
And people don't get it's suicide.
Guys, and you know why their suicide rate is high?
'Cause it's
Probably
spanking.
because they got whoopings.
Yeah.
And not hugs
Actually,
when they
those
were
whooping
younger.
kids that probably know better than to go try and take their own life.
Well,
Because they know that's
No.
not.
Did
I
you get both?
think-
Did you get hugs
Hugs
also?
and whooping.
I did. I got both. I got positive and negative reinforcement.
Get no
My negative
damn
reinforcement was
hug.
far and few between.
See, I was a mama's boy.
I was not. Well,
I
I was
was a
bounced. I
mama's
was bounced
boy.
back and forth to my mother and my grandparents.
My mother, I couldn't do no. We grew up in the household where the mom and dad were there every day. We had a full course meal every day.
Yeah.
But I was the oldest, and don't you mess with Charles. That's my baby.
Yeah.
I was the oldest one. I could never, ever do anything.
Now
wrong.
I've hid under my grandmother's chair to hide from my grandfather before.
You ever get a whoop? Here's something. When I was in Catholic school every 3 weeks would send you a failure notice if your grades were not going to be up to par. So you used to have to try to get home and get it. That's when my father got mad, because if you didn't get good grades,
You play about the
That's
education.
your
you
own
had
job.
an education. He would take us in the basement, take off all your clothes, and give you a spanking. So one day, I put
That's
Vaseline all over my body. Thought that would
Thinking that helped.
You
think
did
that'd help.
that.
Pow! But mentally, see, some of that stuff I never forget about. I thought the Vaseline was going to help. You could hear the bell.
Oh my goodness.
Now in Tennessee, when I lived in Tennessee, they used to
Oh,
take corporal
great.
punishment in school.
Really?
So I got whoopings with paddles in school, but everybody did. And my English teacher
Regular
had
school?
regular public school. This
That's
was in the
crazy.
South.
Bring it
I was
back.
in a small town, Tennessee. When we first moved down there, we moved to a place called Springville. Doesn't even exist anymore. 4th and 5th grade were in the same classroom. That's how small it was.
Wow.
Now I'll remember the teacher's name forever because it was Miss Gillespie, just like on the
I remember mine too.
Yeah, so Miss Gillespie. And I remember that you get in trouble, you have to, here's the whole class. You get up and you put your hands on the desk and you bend over and they take a paddle.
Yeah.
wooden paddle
Come
and
on.
they
front of
spank your
class?
butt.
This is not real life.
Yes, it is. And I used to wear windbreakers. That was when I'll tell you what. You ever had a whooping in windbreakers and some silk underwear?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I'd rather have nothing on.
You know the
That's a
toughest
crazy
person in school?
combination.
yeah, 90s, bro.
You know what my toughest person in grade school was?
Yeah.
The toughest
Yeah.
were nuns.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Nuns were meaner back in the day than anybody. They were mean as
frustrating.
heck. Remember the Blues Brothers movie?
Yeah.
Where the guy went to steps and the nun
Jake and
kept
Elwood.
slapping him.
Yeah.
And she slapped him with the yards with the
Yeah,
stick.
they call them nuns because they don't take none of your
Yeah,
shit.
they take nothing. They took nothing.
I just made
You
it
know,
up.
I was
I like that. That was good. That was good. I thought you were gonna say because they don't get
I
none.
was
But that
Catholic
works.
schoolgirl as well.
Did you go to Catholic high school too?
I did.
Oh boy. Which one did you go to?
I'm not from around.
Not here.
Oh, boy. No, go ahead. Send it what you want to say.
Nothing.
You talking about biohacking?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about
you guys wanna
biohacking.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Switch?
Learn.
That was a good segue.
Listen, I want everybody to.
Catholic school girls in.
We've talked a long time. It's almost 30 minutes. This has been good. I
Yeah.
like this.
It's good.
Keep going.
We're just talking.
But my message is please don't spank your children. Hug them. Okay, let's talk about
It's gonna be the
biohacking.
title of this episode.
Please do not spank your children.
Please, biohacking. What is that? I've never heard of that before.
Sounds like shrooms.
It's
That's what it sounds
interesting.
like.
Yeah, it's not really shrooms.
I thought it was like Osmosis Jones.
Here,
Oh.
let me read you the definition.
Osmosis Jones is great. That's awesome. That's
Gets inside the body.
a great movie reference right there. That's a
All
good
right.
movie. That's,
Okay, biohacking.
I still got to see Inside
I found that. Where did I find that description? So basically, it's. Remember how I always talk about the things you control and things you can't control, right? There's a lot of things in life that we can't control, but we can control what we do with our mind, our body. So biohacking is essentially taking steps to be healthier. So yeah, so meditation is biohacking, wearing devices like Apple Watch or a Whoop to better know and understand what you're doing, how you're doing it. So Corey and I did something this weekend called contrast therapy.
Thank you for the invite, by the way. It was amazing.
Yeah, so Corey is on a health journey. What would you say you're?
I would say I'm on a journey of self-discovery overall.
A journey of self-discovery.
What did you guys do though?
Okay, I'll explain. So contrast therapy is you go into a cold plunge. Well, first we did breath work, which was amazing. It puts you in like sort of a meditative state. And then you go into a cold plunge. So it's anywhere from
ice cold bath.
yeah, 35 to 50 degrees. I don't know.
So you both did that, the cold plunge.
We did. So there was two separate. We actually went first because we're crazy, I guess. And you get under, all the way under from your neck below. He went under, completely under. And you sit there for 3 minutes.
Are you naked? You have clothes on?
You have
Clothes on. There's like 20, 30 people there.
Really?
Yeah, it was a big group.
I used to do that when I would get injured. So
Exactly. Same idea.
Yeah.
So you get into the cold plunge. All the blood rushes to the center of your body.
Wow.
It mentally, so it's really great for athletes or people that work out a ton for recovery. It's also great mentally. It helps clear your mind a little bit. So you go in. You should cold plunging. It's a new thing. It's been for about a year ago. I don't know, probably a year.
Say it again so everybody can hear that.
So contrast therapy is what Corey and I did this last weekend. But cold plunging, ice baths in the morning, or some people do it in the afternoon, helps with clarity. It helps with all sorts of things. So you do
cold.
No, you caught that?
Cold plunge. Are you making fun of me?
With you. We're talking our own thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
We're here to.
stressing her out.
No, I'm not stressed out.
Stressing her
I
out.
just when
She's going to have to take
It's all mental.
I'm
She
gonna
was
have to get-
stressed
It's
out
all
about.
mental.
She was stressed out about the spankings. She's not stressed out about
okay,
that.
that did stress me out. The spankings and like child abuse stuff. Like for
The
some
side
reason,
eyes,
it like
the
gives me
faces.
tightness in my chest. Anyway,
not
so
have that.
contrast therapy is.
cold plunge my kids.
Ooh.
You did. You tried to get your kid to go in.
Yeah.
I did a cold
Not on
plunge once.
punishment.
I did a cold
Punishment,
plunge
I just
once.
tossed them in.
You had your kids with you?
I have a
Yeah.
9-year-old.
I didn't. No, my kids are not.
I mean,
You should
before
you
get
should
back
try
to
it.
that, what do you do if you go into a grocery store or a department store and you see parents beating their children? You've ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
My mother would never do that in front of people.
Yeah.
I think that's just awful.
Yeah.
Now that stays with the kid a long time.
Yeah, and beating's different. Like, let's clarify.
Oh yeah,
that
beating
spank.
is the spanking
Like
and
when
beating
I
totally
spank, it
different.
was very much like, and I'm not trying to justify myself.
Well, we didn't
But
get
I'm not like.
spankings. No, we didn't get spankings.
It's
We
boom.
got
It's here. It's
beatings.
3 swats.
No, we didn't get spankings. We
Yeah.
got beatings.
Yeah. But the second part of
This
contrast.
helped me out. Though, go ahead and finish your stuff.
Second part of contrast therapy.
Go ahead, doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You are to me. In this show, you are.
Is it dead?
I'm not a doctor.
Dr. K.A.
Okay, so cold plunge, and then you get out and you let your body warm up a little bit, and then you get in a sauna,
Oh, really?
super hot sauna, yeah, and it's detoxing essentially. So you sit in there for 10 to 15 minutes, and then you do it again. You come out of the sauna, give yourself a little break, and then get back in the cold plunge. Same thing, get in the sauna, and you feel amazing the rest of the day for like 8 to 10 hours. You feel like you're on cloud 9. So when you get into the cold plunge like willingly, like it's different than when you're pushed into a lake or your shower goes from warm to cold.
There's a mental. You're conquering something.
Last time I did the same thing, I wasn't at a gym. I was at home. I got in my bathtub. I bought maybe about 20 or 30 bags of ice.
20 or 30 bags?
Yeah, because I put all of it in my bathtub.
You must have a really big bathtub.
That big bathtub, one of those circular at your time. It was
I did this at a house party once.
Yeah.
He's a tall man. He's not a regular
I can't use the regular
And like, 'cause I
can.
used
That's
3
great.
20-pound bags.
Oh, no.
I was at a house party.
These are regular
We
little
filled
bags.
up a bathtub of ice, and then you would dunk your head in, hold it as long as you could, and then you shotgun a beer when you got done.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Longer at first.
You abuse yourself.
You can throw that in there too.
Can you abuse yourself?
Yes, you can abuse yourself. Absolutely.
How?
You mean people do
Seriously?
drugs all the time? People know
People
on drugs that
Drugs.
they're
Oh,
doing
we got
negative
cutters.
cut themselves.
Oh, yeah,
that's
cutters.
a sensitive. It's not new.
What about alcohol?
Not.
That's
No,
a
that's
sensitive
a-
subject.
I
too.
think bullies saved a lot
Bulimia.
of people from doing silly shit.
like
So,
being cats.
Self.
Shit.
What about alcohol? That's abusive, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you abuse alcohol, you're abusing yourself for sure. No question.
You tell me if you have a bad day, you're not pouring you a glass or something. You don't just pour your.
crush.
That's a crutch, especially if you do it at home. By
You tell me
yourself.
if you've never had a bad day, you know you can't wait to just have a drink.
I wouldn't say never. I'm saying
That's
now,
what I'm saying,
where I
yeah.
know now and how I live now.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
But I'm just saying that I'm just using that as an example of that's a
I
crush.
got friends
Well,
that would
it's-
sit at home and drink by themselves.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
yeah, I
drink by
can't-
myself.
I can't.
can't do that.
So my
can,
therapist
for
would say,
sure.
because she and I have talked long and hard about this. So I used to love wine. I love tequila.
That's my drink.
Back in the day, I had a decent amount of
Tequila.
fun. But
What
now,
stopped you from drinking?
well, I'm trying to tell you. Right now, what stops me from drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I really care about my body, and I know that I need to be the best version of myself for myself and my children. And drinking alcohol does not help me become a better person. It actually makes my anxiety worse, and it's a depressant.
You know
So
what?
I just come out of a really depressing
You're right.
situation.
Sometimes you'll go home at night. I'll go out some nights I'm in a bad mood because I hate to go to sleep in a bad mood.
Yeah.
It stresses me out. I hate to wake up thinking about what I'll do if I know I'm in a bad mood. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. That's not good. So you go drink. Then when you wake up in the morning after drinking, it made it worse because the problem don't go away.
Nope.
No.
It makes it worse.
Well, and it pushes your dopamine levels down essentially. Like it's not.
And it's wild, too,
It's a
because
depressant.
We were talking about that earlier today on our show is when people are depressed, the two things they turn to the most are both depressants, weed and alcohol. So it's like it's a secular. You're just
Totally, it's
increasing-
numbing for sure.
Yeah.
So I suggest meditation. Exercise is an excellent antidepressant.
I agree.
Anxiety,
That's what I've been doing lately.
going outside, going out for a
Run.
walk.
Is that part of biohacking? Exercise?
I'm not sure.
Because I've been throwing in. You were talking about this, so
Got to know those
you
answers.
invited me to this contrast therapy, and one of the questions I had about that was I was thinking as you were saying this, where you were talking about detox, is like if the heat opens pores,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what you do before you shave, and then cold closes it. Is that the proper order to be doing it in? Should you open them and then get all that stuff out and then go close them?
Listen, I'm gonna listen to the experts.
Okay. And then secondly, I was saying that so part of my biohacking that I've been doing, I should do that because biohacking is a real thing. So this makes it seem silly. Biohacking is I'm in the yes mode. Anything that somebody says like, hey, look, try this. So I did CrossFit yesterday and this morning, and then I did or yesterday, and then I'm doing yoga for the first time on Saturday. I've never done yoga before.
Because see, about 4 years ago, my girlfriend and I broke up. Joe knows. And so, remember Karen used to come in on?
Oh, yeah.
Karen Kessler from Lifetime Fitness. I said, I said, I'm not ashamed of it. I said, I'm hurting bad. She said, you need to start working out again. And she was absolutely correct.
No
Go
question.
work out.
Lift your spirits.
Lift it up.
Yeah.
Work out.
Absolutely.
She was a yoga instructor at Lifetime. She said, make sure you work out. And to this morning, most mornings I go work out after I leave Starbucks.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, you
so
were-
important.
You were
And
down for a
truly,
minute. He was down for a long time.
Once you're,
Oh, yeah.
it's hard. Breakups are hard.
Whenever you want.
Breakups-
Anything else in closing you would like to say to us, K.A.?
No, thank you for having me on again.
Well, you're going to be with us, aren't you? I hope.
Yeah, I am, but I'm just saying.
Your hair looks like it's more radiant today. What is
Oh,
it?
is it? I don't know. It's straightened it, or it's like straightened. I didn't curl it. Plus, I'm wearing yellow. Plus, we're in this bright room.
He would never ask a black woman that question.
Oh, no.
I'm just. I can't believe you asked her that.
That's the difference between a black woman and a white woman. I'll be on the floor
It's
now.
her hair. She bought it, right?
This is my hair. But okay, what I want to leave everybody with is first, try to give your child a hug before you beat them.
Before you beat them.
Before you beat them.
What about afterwards? So I
And
love you.
can we just not beat them?
I love you. Oh, I wouldn't do it now.
That'd be very confusing.
Oh.
Let's
Yes,
just-
that is the weirdest thing parents
Okay.
say. This is hurting me more than it's
seen
hurting
my-
you as they're whooping
you
you.
seen this
Like,
look-
not really.
Oh my
Okay, here's my little
gosh.
grandbaby, okay?
Adorable.
It's my only grandson. So his parents, they take care of him. So about a week ago, he got mad at his nanny. He's 4. So his father said, "Why'd you get mad at the nanny?" "Because I'm old enough to take care of myself. I don't need anybody to take care of me." So I said, "Candace, my daughter," I said, "you need to let me take him out to the woodshed." "Nope, I don't want you whipping my child." Can't be,
You weren't really gonna whoop him.
Oh, yeah, I was going to take him out.
Your 4-year-old grandson.
Hold on.
A little
My
spank on the
ex-wife-
leg, a little
Yes.
tap on the leg.
My ex, and see,
A
my
little
ex-
tap on the
even
leg
my
is not gonna do nothing
my
wrong.
ex-wife and her husband said they were afraid to say something to my daughter because everybody's afraid of my daughter because she just snaps back. I said, "Let me take him outside." "No, you're not. You're not taking. I'm gonna just hit him on this. I'm gonna hit him on his legs.
That's all I need, a
Then
little
I'm gonna
tap on
get
the
loud
thigh.
with him. I'm gonna get
And then get
with
loud
him.
and he'll be scared and
come
he'll
down
be
to their
Scared.
level.
But I don't want to be scared of him. He's too young.
You don't want him to be scared of you.
I don't wanna
There's so
say-
much in
I
life
don't
that
know.
there's
Here
so
come
many
Grandpa
bad.
Charlie. Oh, I'm scared.
You want him to
of
be
Grandpa
before he does
want-
anything wrong. Ooh, what is Grandpa Charlie gonna do if he
You
finds
don't
out?
want your kids.
And then he won't do it.
Yeah, because then he didn't want
I can talk to him on the phone now. "What are you doing? You better go hug your mother and father right now. Do it." "Okay, Grandpa."
Yeah, that's all you got. You just gotta be stern. You're right. You don't have to whoop.
Exactly.
Just be stern.
Be stern.
Hey, folks, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
We got Howard Balzer coming up next.
Howard Balzer next. Don't forget next weekend, special guest will be Ozzie Smith.
Perfect.
Kara will be back. Dr. Rick Lehman.
We got an Ameren remote.
I just had a
Hammer him
golf
up.
event with him 2 weeks ago.
Who's that? Howard.
Balzer. Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Well, good. We're going to.
Pro Players Tournament.
Yes,
Oh,
he
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So we are having a good time. We're going to take a little break, pause for the cause. KA is here, and we're going to come back with Howard, NFL Hall of Fame voter. All right, this is Charlie Tuna here. We'd like to remind you about the Snooks Rewards app. Reward yourself daily with the Snooks Rewards app. With Snooks Rewards, you earn 2% back on every purchase. So simple. Shop, earn, redeem. Just show your barcode in the app or use your phone number at checkout. It's not only do you get points but money off, the Snooks Rewards app has a lot of other features designed to make your grocery shopping easier. Have you been to the new Cafe Napoli restaurant? It's called Napoli Brothers. It's a pizza and pasta bar. It's in Chesterfield Valley. Unbelievable place. Nice patio. They've got a huge pizza oven. Food is just delicious. Coal-fired pizza, pasta, pasta entrees. Unbelievable. They got a coal-fried meatball that's unbelievable. Country Club Bar and Grill, which has the best steak burgers and steaks in the city of St. Louis. They're open until about 1 o'clock, Monday through Saturday night. Suntruck BMW of West St. Louis County, home of the ultimate driving machine. Don't forget about Del Mar Gardens. Love, care, and understanding. You can always check it out at Del Mar Gardens. And don't forget about Crown Candy Kitchen, home of the ultimate BLT and the Charlie Tuna Special. Pasta House celebrating their 50 years in business. Don't forget the great new Pasta House at Kirkwood at 10312 Manchester Road in Kirkwood, Missouri. You can call for curbside pickup and they can take good care of you. And please, man, don't forget about Victory Men's Help. If you're having trouble with your lady, call Victory Men's Help. My guest tonight, of course, from the NFL Hall of Fame voter, Mr. Howard Balzer. How you doing, Howard?
Doing well, Tuna. Doing well. Boy, everything's right around the corner. Hall of Fame weekend only about 3 weeks away, and getting ready for everything to go crazy in the National Football League.
Training camp, is this something you look forward to each and every year, especially now since when you were with the Cardinals and then the Rams, now you're back with the Cardinals. Do you look forward to the training camp?
Yeah, I always look forward to it, even though it can be a little long, obviously, with practices and all that good stuff. But the one great thing, Tuna, with covering the Cardinals here in Arizona is that they practice inside the stadium during the summer. So you never have to worry. Obviously, the players don't have to worry about the heat, but we don't have to worry about it either. So that makes it, pretty comfortable. And, the thing about it, quite frankly, it's always the sign that football's here. It's ready. It's time to get ready for another season. And it's always good after the off-season program and seeing new players and how teams change, to then see how they start putting it together in training camp. So quite honestly, there's a lot of training camps for me, but it never gets old. I enjoy it and love it, year after year.
What was the most fun training camp you've ever been to?
Wow, the most fun training camp. I would have to say some of the most fun training camps, and even though it was pretty warm at times, and this was in the day when there was still two-a-days and all that, and of course through the Dick Vermeil years, at least in the beginning couple seasons when sometimes he had 3-hour practices, but those training camps in Macomb were a lot of fun on a year-to-year basis, and it was you're kind of away from home a little bit, just like the players, and it was kind of a bonding for many of us in the media also, and as a lot of people know, during those years in Macomb, that many of us once the long day was over, hey, we go into the main part of town, and before you know it, we'd be up there taking part in karaoke. And so that was always fun, being there with others in the media. I'll tell you, one summer, Mike Martz, when he was the head coach, knew that we were all doing all that, and he actually said, he had the Rams PR director at the time, Dwayne Lewis. He gave him an assignment to go to all the karaoke nights that we were doing and to grade them and rate them, and that there would be a trophy at the end of training camp for who he deemed to be the best karaoke singer, or shall I say, the karaoke singer with giving the best effort. And a lot of time that was someone who just got up there and sang, even though they weren't very good, but still gave that best effort. So I don't remember which year that was, but that was definitely a lot of fun.
Howard, I know we don't have football quite yet, but I've seen a lot of Hard Knocks clips and Brian Daboll, and it seems like Hard Knocks is kind of taking a different route where they're giving us some more insight, and it seems like they're kind of helping us see how NFL general managers and coaches make their decisions. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, or is that something that the NFL is trying to engage the audience in?
Well, yeah, they keep adding to it, and it doesn't mean they're not going to. They are still going to do training camp. I'm trying to remember which team it's going to be with this year, but they're still going to do the training camp show, and then they're going to do one during the regular season, which they've done for the last 3 seasons now. I think it's been. They started that 3 seasons ago, doing an in-season Hard Knocks, and this year they're going to cover the entire division of the AFC North. So they're going to be bopping around to the different teams in that division. And then, like you note, this year they decided to add, off-season with the New York Giants. And like you, it's very interesting to see. It's only 5 shows. We had the second one on Tuesday night this week, and so there'll be 3 more, which coincides basically with the opening of training camps. But it really is an interesting look as a team gets ready for free agency, gets ready for the draft. They had all the guys sitting around for the Giants scouting department, and you heard what they said about different players coming up in the draft. They showed some of the interviews with players, which of course none of us ever really know we know what goes on with an interview, but you've never seen one. Well, now you're seeing clips of it, obviously clips that they're comfortable with putting out there, but it's still stuff that happened. They're not just doing stuff for the cameras. I mean, this is stuff that's very important for what they're doing. And so I think it might be one of the best approaches to Hard Knocks that you can have. Obviously, the players involved are guys in the draft for the most part. But yeah, I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes and certain things that came out of it. I would guess that now whether other teams believe and think that this is a good thing to do, that'll be interesting to see, because you always need teams that are willing to do it. But I give credit for the Giants for allowing it to happen, and I think it's been really good. And I'm sure they'll hope to be able to do that in in the coming years.
My guest, of course, is Howard Balls, a Hall of Fame NFL voter. Howard, I'm going to jump around on a little bit and talk about a few teams, but first of all, Bill Belichick joins inside NFL. How do you think he's going to do with that type of position?
I think he'll do well with it because anytime I've seen him in a analysis type of situation where obviously it's not a press conference with people trying to get info out of him when he was a head coach, he's very good when it comes to that. I mean, he's obviously knows the game, very smart. He'll have to get accustomed to being within the parameters of time, and not speaking too long. But I'm sure that'll be something that he'll get accustomed to. And he's been on some other shows. I know when he was on during the 100th anniversary of the NFL, the 100th season, I should say. It wasn't the 100th anniversary. I think it was the 100th season of the NFL, which was a few years ago. And they picked an all-time, team from the 100 years, and he was in on the selection of that team, and then was part of the shows on NFL Network that talked about it. And I thought that he was, very, very informative and very interesting, to listen to. So I think in this format, where you're able to review the games from the previous week, look ahead to the games that are coming, and then whatever other newsworthy things are going on, I would think that he'd be very, very good in that role.
Howard, getting back to training camps, I'm gonna slide back again. I've been to several camps. The most fun camp I think I've been to was with the Chicago Bears when they in the Super Bowl shuffle years. These guys would sneak out at night. Of course, you heard Walter Payton was a big prankster. He would put firecrackers in your pants. And one night, I'm not kidding you not, Howard, he set off the burglar alarm, and all the players ran outside. And Coach Dickers said, "I know who did that." He said, "I was Walter Payton."
Well, he was a prankster. I mean, he was a prankster all the time. And I know when on the Hall of Fame radio show that I do, whenever we have a former Bear on, invariably we ask about Walter, if the guy was obviously a teammate with him, and talking about him not only as a player but as a prankster, and everybody talks about that. So yeah, he was at the top of the list when it comes to that, and that just reminded me is that the Bears, just to quickly mention, the Bears are going to be the team that is featured on Hard Knocks in training camp. Wow. So that should be a real interesting one with Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze and some of the other things they got going on there. So that's going to be the one that will debut around the first or second week in August for the Hard Knocks during training camp. But yeah, training camp, all those things with, and obviously a lot of things have changed, like you said, with players going to their favorite watering hole at night and all that. I don't know that goes on as much as it used to do. And let's remember too, I was counting this up, guys, the other day, and I believe the count is somewhere around 22 or 23 teams that have training camp at their home facility, where in their city. They don't go out of town anymore. There still are some teams that do it, but the majority of the teams stay home. So I think that cuts down a little bit on that whole, a little bit of the camaraderie aspect of it, a little bit of it, we're all in the same boat together. When you're staying in a college dorm and the beds aren't very good and guys are bringing their own air conditioners just to make sure that, that they are able to stay cool. So a lot has changed, obviously, in training camps from the way it used to be and the way it is now.
Howard, I remember when I was a free agent with the Green Bay Packers, and they still train at the same place, St. Norbert's College. And one night, we wanted to sneak out. This guy, I never forget, he was a wide receiver from Nebraska. He tied a bunch of sheets together, and we snuck out, using a bunch of sheets to get outside and have a good time. That's when Johnny Rowland and Dan Devine were there. That's a long time ago.
Wow. Yeah, that is a long time ago. And you talk about the pranks and the things with taping rookies to the to the goalpost and things. I don't think we see very much of that anymore. Some of the times it got out of hand, and I think teams started clamping down on it. And so the other thing is you certainly don't want to get anybody injured or hurt during some craziness that's going on. So, but yeah, there's a lot of great stories and a lot of great things from back in the day of what the players would do during training camp just to make the days pass a little quicker.
Talking to Howard Balzer, NFL Hall of Fame voter. Howard, two of the weirdest things that happened to the Rams when they were in training camp, not here but out of town, the police used to stop people and give them tickets. I think you remember that. But
Oh gosh, yeah.
Tony Banks and his dog, he brought a dog to training camp. What was the dog's name? Felon?
Felon, yeah.
Yeah, Felon.
Yeah, that was the name of the dog. Yeah. And there were the police, going up that that 2-lane highway in Illinois, guys would step on the gas pedal a bit, and the police knew when players were going to be reporting, and they were definitely out, looking for those guys. I think one time Orlando Pace got nabbed, and you know what it just reminded me of? Oh my goodness, you probably remember this one with James Harris.
Yes.
When he was involved in some kind of substance issues away from the field, and a helicopter came to training camp to arrest him and take him away. That was pretty wild.
Howard, this is that time of the year where there's nothing but really distraction and police blotters. But it seems like Aaron Rodgers has been nothing but a distraction ever since he went to the Jets. I'm pretty sure this is not what the Jets signed up for.
No, probably not. I think in the long run, it's not going to be an issue. One of the main reasons it became an issue is because the Jets didn't get in front of it. Number one, when he wasn't there for the mini camp, and then there was no they just said it was personal. I think if they had gotten in front of it, and then it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. But the other part of it was when Rodgers came out himself after the season in January and talked about how guys have to do the right thing, and it's for the team, and we don't want to have any BS, and all those things. And then there he is, and it's come out that he had a trip to Egypt that he planned during last season, and so some have tried to excuse him for that because, well, he didn't know when the off-season program is. Come on. Anybody who's been in the NFL for 2 years or 3 years, much less 2 decades, knows exactly when the off-season program starts and when it ends, and that's the middle of June. And he could have easily planned that trip for 3rd week in June, 4th week in June, 2nd week, whenever it might have been. But he ends up planning it for the time of the mandatory minicamp. And of course, but he was there for all the voluntary work and all that. So I think, once camp is there and it starts and he's there, and once the season starts, it'll kind of be forgotten. But we know in New York, there's always going to be some kind of distraction. And, we'll see what it is next for the Jets. But, I think that, Rodgers will probably be working maybe a little harder, not to be a distraction. But we also know that there's always going to be stories. There's always going to be reporters looking for something. And probably something else, will come up within the next couple of months.
The voice you hear is the incredible Howard Balzer, live from Phoenix, Arizona, home of the Sun. Howard, let's talk about several teams. First of all, let's start with the Super Bowl champs. It's going to be very, very – there's one player that's a big tight end with the Super Bowl champions. Can he be in shape because he's been traveling all over the country with his girlfriend, Taylor Swift? I'm talking about Travis Kelce. Is he in shape?
I would think, I think he still understands what it takes to get ready for an NFL season. He has, traveled on off days to see her. He's been he's been there working out in the off-season program. He was there at the OTAs and the mini camp. So, and I think once camp starts, obviously, I think the travel's going to be curtailed, and who knows, maybe on a bye week or maybe on an off day he'll jet somewhere. But I just think that he's enough of a pro that any of that is not going to affect him that much. And I think if he felt it was affecting him, I think he'd cut back on it because he's not a young guy anymore. I'm not sure if he's turned 35 yet, but he's getting close to it. And I think he realizes that to continue playing at a high level and be the best he can be for that team, he has to stay healthy and be in as good a shape as he possibly can. And I do think he realizes and understands himself what what that takes to be, to do that.
I'm joined by the one and only Howard Balzer. Howard, are the Detroit Lions the team to beat this year in the NFL?
They're one of them. I mean, they're right there as one of the better teams in the NFC. They gave the 49ers all they can handle, obviously, in the conference championship game. There's no reason to think that they won't be able to duplicate that, considering the roster that they've put together. So, they are certainly, like I said, they're one of the teams, to beat. But so are the 49ers. I still think the 49ers, might be the best roster in the NFL. Doesn't mean it's that much better than the Lions or any other team, but it's a tremendous roster. So I still think if we're going to say the team to beat, I would say them. But hey, they're going to have a whole bunch of good teams to contend with. Maybe not as many in the NFC as in the AFC, but you still have you have Dallas. No matter what people think of Mike McCarthy or whatever, they're still a good roster. I think the Eagles will bounce back. Green Bay, we'll see. That they'll be a really intriguing team to see if they continue the ascent that they had last year in the second half of the season when Jordan Love came on at quarterback. And I think those are probably the best that the NFC has to offer. Like I said, I don't think there's as many really good teams at the top as there are in the AFC, but there's still teams that will give any of those teams we mentioned a real run for their money.
Howard, how do you see the future for Tom Brady as an announcer? This is a new venture for him.
Yeah, it really is. And his biggest challenge is the one thing I've said about Brady is after he left New England, he was a different guy with the media in terms of just answering the questions and like that. He was much more open, and because he wasn't under the thumb of Bill Belichick anymore in terms of having to watch everything he said. So he's very smart. He's at the roast, he was funny. When they retired his number a few years ago, he gave a tremendous speech. But that's one thing is doing a speech for a half hour, and another thing, saying something of note, saying something that really adds impact and analysis in 30 seconds or 45 seconds, whatever it is that you have to talk, between plays, and that's not easy. So that's going to be his biggest challenge of being concise, being succinct, but still saying something that isn't just a run-of-the-mill analysis. So it'll be real interesting to see how he does. Everyone believes he'll do well, but I don't know how anybody can predict it. You just don't know. But knowing him and how hard he'll work at it, I'm not saying it's going to be right out the box great, but you have to believe that once you settle into a rhythm, once you're in the rhythm with your play guy, which is a big part of it, and how you play off each other, once he's comfortable with that and has a few games under his belt, I don't see any reason why he won't be a very good analyst.
Howard, one more quick question. The biggest question in America today, is Joe Biden too old?
You want me to weigh it? I don't even think it's a question of too old, because what does too old mean? I mean, it all is a matter of how you handle your age and how you're able to function. And so, that's the big thing. And while the debate was disappointing, there's been people questioning his age well before that. And so it all comes down to doing the things you have to do to be president of the United States. I'm not convinced that he can't do it, and obviously a president anyway doesn't do it alone. There's a tremendous amount of help that they get, and so in some ways I think age a lot of times provides wisdom, and I think that's one thing in his seat compared to the other one. There's a lot of wisdom there, and I think that sometimes is more important than how old you are. So I'm real curious where this is going to end up going in the next month before the Democratic convention.
Howard Balzer, thank you very much. We will talk to you next week. Have a great weekend and stay out of the sun.
Oh, I am doing that. There's no question. It's only 115 today, so definitely staying out of the sun as much as possible.
All right, thank you, Howard. Hey, we like to say we're gonna end the show tonight, but remind you next week we're gonna talk a lot of baseball. Our special guest next week will be Ozzie Smith.
Oh,
so
really?
Have a good time. We have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great show.
Podcast is getting to be fun now.
Oh,
to me
yeah.
now. I'm getting a little
Getting a
loose.
little loose.
Loosening up. Bye, Caitlin Clark. I love you.